How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to United versus Everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am, as always, your host, Sean. So glad to be back today. Today we are diving into our preview of United against Barnsley in the Carabao Cup to start our domestic cup competition this season. Second match in a busy fixture, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. We are, of course, flying high after beating Southampton 3-0 away from home. But we're not going to get too much time to rest, really too much time to prepare. Again, first Carabao Cup tie of the season, and we're going to dive in. A few odds and ends, though, I wanted to talk about. Of course, you can see I am rocking this year's third strip. This just arrived in the mail today from GoGoalShop. Ordered it not that long ago, but it is fire, you guys. It's really nice in person. Good fit, good material, good quality. I really like what I see here. We got the sleeve logo sponsorship. We've got the Snapdragon here as well. Good stitching. And I've been pushing the GoGoalShop for a little while now. Obviously, there's a link in the description of the video for you guys to go and get $5 off your order if you go ahead and use that code or that link to register your account with GoGoalShop. It's free and everything. We do have to have an account to go ahead and order anything, but this is the third one I've got from them. This thing is awesome. I couldn't be happier with it. So great job, GoGoalShop. You guys go check them out if you haven't yet. They've got current kits. They've got some vintage kits as well. They've got the player issue. They've got the fan issue. This is the fan issue. They didn't have the player issue for this one yet when I ordered it, but this is the fan issue. So I said when it got here, I would let you guys know and show you guys what you can expect to get. So I don't know how well you can see it. I'll stand up a little bit, but it is fire. So no name on the back. You can get names, I believe, as well. I just don't tend to get them anymore. But it is nice. The fit is great. The cost is even better. I think this one was like 20 something. It's like 25 or something. So really good. Go check them out. And again, if you want to get $5 off your order when you register and get your first, use the link in the description. Go check it out. You know what else popped up in the mail today, though, that I'm really excited to dive into? Big up, Danny. How are you, man? Welcome back. Is this little number. So this is from Jamie Jackson. It's called The Season in the Red. So basically, he wrote this a while back. This is all about Louis van Gaal, David Moyes, and then this is the updated version to include Jose Mourinho. But it's a book about managing United in the after, the wake of Sir Alex retiring and everything and what that was like. So obviously some highs, some lows, but I can't wait to dive into this one. His first book that I read, The Red Apprentice, the biography of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was a banger, and I really liked that book a lot. A lot of insight there, a lot of conversations with all these old coaches, his old teammates, his family members way over in Norway as well. So really good book. Really excited. Jackson is a really good writer. Obviously, he writes for The Guardian. Really nice guy. Met him briefly outside the players' entrance last season when I was there. But good guy. Danny says, nice. That's the best shirt in years. Yeah, I really do like this one. It was a tough choice between this or the away shirt. But honestly, because they're so cheap, you can get both. You literally get both shirts for like $50. And they're bangers, man. This thing's fire. So I'm excited about that. If you guys go check out GoGoalShop if you haven't yet. Wanted to talk a little bit today about some interesting statistics too before we dive into the match preview. Just because it's important, as people are banging on about no style of play, or Dwight York wants to come out. What's up with all the ex-United players, by the way, just being absolute dickheads? Talking about this is the worst United side he's said in years, but like it's a little embarrassing. But we've got players that are doing absolute bits today. So I read a stat earlier, this is from Statman Dave, that Kobbie Mainoo has made more interceptions than any other player across Europe's top 5 leagues so far this season. So Mainoo rocking it. Marcus Rashford has also, according to United, has been the 5th Manchester United player to score in 10 separate Premier League seasons after Giggsy, Scholesy, Keno, and Waza. So good company there. And then we have all these statistics right now. So obviously it's still early doors, but if the media and the journalists are going to pundits are going to start piling in on Tenhag and say he faces a sack after 3 matches, we can start talking about where we rank against other teams right now after 4 matches. So this is coming from Benjamin Hunt. You guys should go check out Benjamin Hunt on Twitter. Pretty good. Compared to other teams in the league, this is how we rank. Shots conceded 6th, tackles 1st, interceptions 1st, shots on target 4th, XG 3rd, big chances created 3rd, big chances missed 1st, because we've missed a lot of big chances. Passes 6th, saves 1st. Onana has made the 4th most saves last season, and he's had to make the fewest this season. So 3rd in clean sheets so far, by the way, and 4th in possession won in the final third so far in the league. So suck on that. In any case, things are not all doom and gloom. People really need to look past just the fact that we lost 3-0 to Liverpool, and then we lost the last gaps match against Brighton, and look at some of where we are to see the progress. People want to bang on about not trophies, we win trophies, and they want to bang on about style of play. Well, the style of play is showing that we are progressing. So the numbers prove it. So big up there. Back to the Barnsley preview. Let's talk a little bit about Erik ten Hag's presser. So he was asked about some player fitness and injuries. Still no Luke Shaw. Ten Hag said that he's progressing, but he's not yet ready to be selected. He is progressing well. Of course, we have a plan in our head. He can be ready, but you're always dependent on how the progress will go. And you can't make a suggestion because there are so many factors. A plan can accelerate or slow down. So Lindelof, Højlund, and Mount are also still unavailable, though it looks like Mount is back in full training with the rest of the squad. So probably not ready. Maybe he might be ready for this weekend against Palace. Who knows? But we know Ten Hag doesn't tend to rush people back, so we'll see. But he did say that none of them are ready for tomorrow. We'll see. The progress will continue. Again, similar to what he said about Shaw. De Ligt, Noose, and Licha are all fit. I really don't want to see any of them start, though, if we can help it. He was asked about Anthony. He said, tomorrow you will see what the lineup will be. We have training every day, and the players will have to earn the right. When the attitude is good and the show performance and training, then they will play. So could that be a little dig at Jadon Sancho? Because we know that the attitude wasn't there. He wasn't showing it in training. Again, people like to think that Ten Hag singled out Sancho, or he mistreated him, or he didn't treat him well. Apparently treating Sancho well is kissing his ass no matter what. But Ten Hag treats everybody exactly the same, whether you're Ronaldo or Garnacho, and we've seen him do it time and time again. So I don't really understand what else needs to be said. The evidence is literally there to contradict anything these people say about Ten Hag bullying anybody. But he said, I mean, as far as Anthony goes, it's basically the same reply when he was asked if Ugarte is going to feature. You guys will see tomorrow what the lineup's going to be. So it's just keeping things close to the chest. We know how these dressing room leaks like to pop up now and then. So, but that was pretty much it for the presser. A couple questions about fitness, a couple questions about some players who might feature, and that was it. Like literally a waste of time. It probably took Ten Hag longer to get into the press room than it did for this press conference to actually happen. Like this, they're so boring. I mean, but I guess that's why these idiot journalists keep pushing stupid topics like Sancho and Ronaldo. It's like, I don't know, maybe they could actually use their brain and come up with some decent questions like that one the other day when it was asking, the journalist asked Ten Hag, how do you handle outside noise, outside pressure, like as a manager, as a team? Like, that's a good question. That's a really good question. But when there's like one collective brain cell between all the journalists in a room, though, I mean, that brain cell doesn't tend to go very far. So I'd like to see some better questions. Like, honestly, we could pull 10 people off of the street and then who have no idea about anything about football, and they're probably going to ask you better questions than some of these journalists are. These journalists just want sound bites. So it is what it is. Let's dive into this match preview. Let's take a look at Barnsley so far, because a lot of us probably aren't as familiar with Barnsley. They do play in League One. They were relegated from the Championship a few seasons ago, and they're having a hard time kind of getting back up. But, these teams can sometimes bloody some noses of some Premier League sides, so we don't want to take them for granted. Like I said, they've had a hard time fighting their way back into the Championship. Barnsley actually played our academy, our under-21s last month. They lost 3-2 to our under-21s, and so again, not trying to disrespect, not trying to take it for granted, but that should kind of show you where our level's at. Rajat, welcome back, bud. How are you? And so they've been on a decent run, though, since they lost to our academy. They've had one draw. They've had 3 wins on the bounce, actually. And then they just had a heavy 3-0 loss to Stevenage, though. And so that could maybe spur them on. That could maybe be indicative of where they are. Fun fact, though, I did have a little bit of a hookup to a Stevenage match when I first went to England, but so I had a chance to go to a Stevenage match. I actually opted for a Salford match instead, but it was interesting. I was all hyped to go see Stevenage and stuff. So the guy who runs Livonia City FC, he knows one of the guys who used to work at Stevenage, and so there was a little bit of a hookup there. But I think that guy at Stevenage has since left the club. So next time, maybe I'll go check him out. So on Barnsley, though, Raja, what do you got? You are getting Juve kid, bro. No, this just arrived from GoGoalShop, man. This is awesome. Raja says, I hope Mizraoui's not injured. Now, Ten Hag said he, Delit, and Licha are fine, bud. So nobody's injured. But I don't want to see Mizraoui play tomorrow if we can help it. So Barnsley tend to kind of line up on paper in a 4-1-4-1, which can sometimes switch to like a 3-1-4-2, depending on possession and not a possession. The 4-1-4-1, though, can cause us some problems if we leave a little too much space in our midfield, kind of like what we did against Liverpool. We don't want to be leaving that kind of space. We don't need to push up that high, be that aggressive. I know it can be tempting because it's a League One side, but at the same time, they've got players who can do damage. Again, we saw against Southampton, all it takes is one moment to shift momentum, or in United's case, cause our players to completely collapse, and you don't want to be having to struggle to claw back a goal in a cup tie this early on in the season. So don't want to take them for granted. That being said, we should beat them, in my opinion. So, let me go back here. So in their last match, Barnsley were beaten again 3-0 by Stevenage, thanks largely to Stevenage exploiting that same space that I just talked about that we can't exploit. If you look at some of their average possession on the pitch, Stevenage were occupying that space in between Barnsley's midfield and their defense. Again, same as what we did against Liverpool. We can probably have an opportunity to exploit that a little bit as well. Barnsley do press a lot, but I imagine they're not going to play that way against the Premier League side, because it's what they'd probably end up going to be doing is sitting back a little deeper, making themselves compact, making themselves hard to break down, and probably looking to hit us on the break. They're probably going to be very physical, be very energetic, because that's usually what you get from these lower league sides. So that could cause us problems too, because we do tend to shit the bed when we play against the pressing side. But we're going to see how that goes. Their danger man, midfielder Adam Phillips. The guy's got 4 goals and 1 assist in 6 matches so far this season. All his goals are from inside the box. He has won a penalty. And he can cause us some issues if we're not switched on in the box, if we're not paying attention to these third man runs, if we're not alert to the danger, and if we're switched off, we could see us concede a penalty, because he does seem to kind of be like McTominay. He just kind of pops up in the box and causes some problems. He tends to see a lot of the ball too, right in that area between the midfield and defense, because they play that 4-1-4-1. He kind of occupies kind of exactly where Liverpool camped out with their attackers and when we played them. I think as long as we stay switched on, as long as the energy levels for United stay high, we don't just kind of let ourselves get a little too lazy. Basically, again, not take it for granted, like I've said a few times. I think we should be fine. I don't think it's disrespectful to say that we can absolutely rotate here and rest some of our key players. Again, our under-21s beat Barnsley a few weeks ago. So again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just the facts. Our under-21s were able to beat them. So we should be able to rest some key players and play some of the youngsters. I like to see Collier, Amas, Bayandir, Evans, maybe even Kone, maybe push Ahmad into a different role. I'd probably maybe even like to say, hey, Anthony, get a start on the right. Maybe put Garnacho on the left. Maybe put Eriksen in the 10. Who knows what's going to happen? We don't need Manu to start. Manu could do with another rest. If it were me, I'd probably try to bench Bruno and again maybe start Ahmad or Eriksen in that 10. I'd probably start Ahmad, but maybe Ahmad needs a rest too. I think Ugarte could do with some more minutes. So I think a start here, or at least 45 minutes here, could be good for him. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Casemiro start. I wouldn't be surprised to see the two of them kind of change at halftime. I'd also maybe start Xerxes as well, because I do think I want him getting on the getting on the score sheet, getting some goals, getting into that rhythm. Do we want Rashford to start? Could Rashford do with more goals? Do we rather have him come on as a sub? These are questions you can ask. This is one of those matches where you really can't afford to maybe try some of these different things. Rajat does not want to see Collier, Casemiro, and Ugarte midfield. I think Collier deserves a start after the way he did against Liverpool. I think this is probably the perfect match, in my opinion, for Collier to come in and start and just get some of that experience. If Ten Hag doesn't think Ugarte is up to speed yet, I don't understand. If he can't get up to speed against the League One side, then we shouldn't have bought Ugarte. If he can't do that, then what was the point? Again, I think Mazraoui needs a rest. I think Dalot could probably do the rest too, but we just can't afford that. So I'd probably start Dalot on the right, put Mazraoui on the bench, and I would probably start Amos on the left. And if we're up by a few goals, if Uganai makes the bench, I might bring Uganai on for the second half and let him finish things up on that right-hand side. If we grab a few goals again, take him off and maybe sub on the youngster. I like to see Amas and Collier starting. They looked really good linking up together in preseason when they did that. I think it breeds some of that familiarity with each other. And again, they started for the U21s when we beat Barnsley. And so I think that they can probably handle it personally. I'd like Xerxes to get a goal. Maybe then we can bring on Wheatley. I don't want to start Wheatley and then bring on Xerxes because it's just one of those things, worst case scenario, if we're down, because we saw against Coventry, we conceded 3 goals in the space of like 20 minutes or so. I would like us to have goals and then take off Xerxes in the second half and then bring on Wheatley and get Wheatley on the score sheet as well if possible. I really don't want Bruno playing at all. I think Bruno, we really need to start managing him. I know he can play all day, but it's just one of those things where we need to be able to rely on other players aside from Bruno. This is why, like we were talking the other day, I like to maybe put Ahmad on the 10, but I'd also like Ahmad to rest. So it's difficult. But Ahmad, I think, offers something a little different than Bruno. I think he keeps the ball a lot better than Bruno. He can carry the ball a little better than Bruno. Bruno would rather pick a pass or take a shot, which is fine. He can pick passes that not many other players can. But I like just kind of like how Xerxes and Højlund are different. I'd like us to maybe try something else in the 10. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bruno did start because the guy starts like every match. I think Garnacho should start again. And then maybe we could bring on Rashford late if we want to. I wouldn't be surprised even to see like someone like Ethan Ennis in the squad to maybe rotate on the wing a little bit. We'll see. What do you guys got saying in here? Raja says if he drops Bruno, that's first. I mean, Bruno needs the rest. We need to learn how to play without Bruno. But I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if Bruno did start, to be honest with you. Danny B says, play the 21, Slab, Evans at the back. Roger says, Mount is back to train with the team. That's what I said earlier. Yeah, Mount's back in full training now. Probably, he's not going to be ready for this one, but he'll probably be ready for maybe Crystal Palace, maybe FC 20. Danny says, I'm nearly sure our 21s played them and beat them. Nope, that's what we were talking about earlier. So the U21s did play them last month. We beat them 3-2. Collier had a good game. Amos had a good game. We did pretty well. Ennis Oganai played. I think Oganai should be able to play on the bench and maybe come in for Dalot in the second half tomorrow. If he's even on the bench, we'll see. Rajat thinks Mount will be fit after Barnsley. Rajat says, don't like Evans. You think he is crap, CB. I will not have any Johnny Evans slander ever. He was one of our best center backs last season, and he wasn't even really supposed to be playing last season. That ball he played to Bruno against Burnley was a thing of beauty. I will not have any Johnny Evans slander on this channel ever. Danny B says, if Mount is fit, play him. Yeah, Ten Hag did say Mount is back in training, but doesn't look like he's going to be ready for this one, along with Lindelof and Højlund. I think all of them are still not quite ready. Danny wants to play Jack Fletcher. I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised to see Jack Fletcher make the bench, but we will see what happens. Let me get back into this here. Yeah, I think we have some good youngsters. I think that this is one of those games. We've already seen that our youngsters can beat them, so why not? I'd probably go with Bayindir. Again, Dalot on the right. I'd play Maguire. I'd play Evans. I would play Amas on the left. Collier, to me, has to start. I mean, if he needs to start. He's made his case against Liverpool. He came on, looked 100 times better than Casemiro did. Yeah, we lost, but Collier looked really, really good. In my opinion, I would start Ugarte as well, but I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Casemiro or Eriksen start. The question was what Casemiro is going to show up. You know, is Casemiro going to show up like he did against Coventry, like he did against Liverpool, or is Casemiro going to show up? And maybe with Collier, maybe he starts along Collier and we play Collier a little deeper and let Casemiro kind of push forward a little bit. Maybe that could suit Casemiro a little better. But we will see. I would like to have a little bit of a balance of experience, but I do think that's what Evans and Maguire are there for. Maybe Eriksen as well. I'd start Garnacho on the left. I would start Antony on the right in this one because I do think we just have to play Antony at some point. I'm not saying he's the best winger or anything, but if Antony can't come on and do something against Barnsley, then that's going to show us all we need to see, and this is really his chance. So it's really up to Antony at this point what he's going to be in this squad. I would like to see Xerxes start to get a goal or two, and then we can sub him off. And I just want him to get on the goals. I want him to get that rhythm going, like I said. The difficult one to me, again, is this number 10 spot. Do we want to rest Ahmad after he started so many matches? Again, we're going to see what Ten Hag does with that. I do think Ten Hag is going to rotate, but I do think he'll probably play a stronger side than a lot of us will probably want to see. Simply because I think he just relies on these players a lot, and I think that he does value the cup competitions, because who doesn't? Domestic cups get a lot of stick, but they're good competitions to win. Like, everyone wants to celebrate them when their team wins, but then when their team is out of them, they want to say, we got bigger fish to fry. No one cares about the Carabao Cup. Like, I care about it. I care about the FA Cup. You guys should too. So we'll see what Ten Hag does. I do think it'll be a stronger side than we might want to see. What are you guys saying here? Raja says, will Erik Ten Hag drop Ahmad? I don't know if it's a matter of dropping him. I think it's a matter of resting him. Raja says, if Harry can play left back, yeah. Amos, I hope you're talking about. Yeah, Raja, I do think it's a game maybe to give Antony a start. Danny, I was thinking about Biancheri too, because he has been fire for the youngsters, but we'll see. It could be him, could be Wheatley. I wouldn't be surprised to see Biancheri. How old is he anyway, Biancheri? Matano. Rajat's going in on Antony a little bit. Yeah, he's that Welsh kid we got a couple years ago, and he's been fire this season for the youngsters. So I like what I see him. So Dan Gore, Shea Lacey, Rajat's mentioning. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Dan Gore. I thought he was back fit because he had that long injury. Danny says 17, I think maybe 18 now, Sean. Yeah, I think Biancheri's a little. He's on the cusp. He's like one of those Jack Fletcher, one of those Amases. He's on the cusp of getting in there. We saw a couple of the youngsters in preseason. Oyedele is obviously gone now and things, but I think this is the game to try to test some of this out. So it's a question: do you start strong, get up a couple goals, and then rotate? I wouldn't mind seeing that. Do you start kind of with a mixture to kind of get a blend of experience and things? Do you kind of bring on other players late? This is part of the manager's job, so we'll see. Again, as long as we don't get any injuries and we win, I think that's all I really care about. I honestly was thinking for a second there too, I almost wouldn't be surprised to see Licha in the left back spot, because he did play there in preseason, and I think he lined up there for Argentina recently. If he did not, correct me if I'm wrong. I wouldn't be like, I'm not saying that I think it's going to happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm saying if the starting lineup comes out tomorrow and Licha's in left back, I wouldn't be like, ooh, that's interesting. I'd be like, oh, yeah, we've seen that before. It is what it is. Danny says there's a lot of talent in the youth, best thing in a long time. Yeah, I think the way we're signing a lot of these youngsters when they're like 14, 15, we're bringing them through. Plus we've got, guys like the Fletchers and everything coming through. I think that the next like 4 or 5 years, we're going to have one of the most exciting young squads in the country in terms of that. It's going to save us money, which isn't not my focus, but at the same time, like, it saves you money. I like to not just sit here and play academy players just for the sake of playing academy players. I like to have quality academy players who can come through like the class of 92 and be like world-class players. And I think that some of these players, what I've seen so far, they've looked levels ahead of a lot of the academy graduates I've seen come through in recent years. which is saying something because we've had some good ones come through. So Maguire is okay to play, Rajat. So again, I wouldn't be surprised to see 45 minutes each for like Ugarte, Casemiro, Eriksson. I think those guys could easily rotate in and out for a half. I'd almost bet my house on Bruno starting tomorrow, if I'm honest, because it's just the way we do things with Bruno. Ten Hag might be like, you know what? We've got like 4 days till Palace. Start Bruno. He'll have 4 days to rest, and we'll be fine. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that I almost said maybe start Wheatley and bring on Xerxes in the second half. But again, I wouldn't want to be chasing the game with Xerxes. I think that when you're chasing a game and it's later on, the opposition will set up differently and just make it more and more difficult. I think I'd rather start strong in some ways, get ahead, and then kind of take your foot off the gas. And I don't mean like take the rest of the match for granted. I mean rotate, because you're still going to have the subs are still going to come on and do a job, and they're still going to play. And we're getting a little more quality and depth now. So that is around how I would like to see us line up. It doesn't mean that's how I think we're going to line up. What would you guys like to see tomorrow? Let me know your starting 11s in the chat. Patrick, welcome back, bud. How are you doing? Raja says, yo, I didn't realize Scholes' touch was that good. Scholes was like, I don't know why the whole Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes conversation is still a conversation. Scholes is the best. As far as I'm concerned, it's Scholes, and then you guys can argue about who is second, Lampard or Gerrard. Scholes, more trophies. Like it's not hard to have more trophies than Steven Gerrard, to be honest. But yeah, Scholes. And here's another thing you got to learn about this debate. Look at what other world-class players that these guys played against, and what have they said about these players? Zidane raves about Scholesy. Scholesy is like the only player that Xavi wanted to trade shirts with in his career. And this is how you know. Scholesy was one of the only English midfielder who was trying to get picked up by Italian sides back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Italy was like the Serie A was like at its pomp. That's how you know Scholesy was the best. Raja says, go get early goal, and then maybe Bruno Fernandes is able to come off. Yeah, I'd like to see that, but we will see what Ten Hag does. We know that he likes these cup competitions. You guys let me know your lineups. Let me know your score predictions as well. I'm going to go 4-1 United. We do tend to concede just silly goals against some of these lower league sides. We saw it last season against, I think it was Newport, just that random, long range effort. Some caught a deflection, but still, we just get surprised by some of these other teams now and then. So I do think it's going to be 4-1 to United, though. Like I said in yesterday's video, beating Southampton 3-0, beating Barnsley here will be a great way to kind of keep the momentum ahead of this busy fixture schedule. I'd like to get some of these players some goals, get them confident, get them minutes as we get into some of the tougher fixture ranges. We got Palace, FC20, Spurs coming up as well. I want Xerxes, Rashford to get into a scoring rhythm. I want Ugarte to get minutes, and I want to be able to rest some key players. Those are my 3 big wishes. I want goals for some key players who need that. I want minutes for new players, and I want to rest key players is basically what I'm going for here. Rajat says 2-1, maybe 3-0. Danny says 3-0. So it sounds like everybody thinks, and like me, we're going to be, there's going to be a 3-goal deficit. I think that if we start Garnacho, he's going to be hungry. I think that Xerxes really needs to just dial it in. Obviously, he's getting into good positions. He's just the shot's just not quite there, which is going to happen. But I know I've said he's not like that Haaland, that Ronaldo, and that Lewandowski, that Harry Kane, who's just going to bang in goals. It's not the profile of striker he is, but at the same time, I've also been critical of the fact that when you're in those positions and you have those opportunities, you need to be putting them away. And he's had 4, I could argue 5 in the last 2 matches that he's played in that he really should have scored. But it is what it is. Patrick says 1-0. Uh-oh, he thinks it's going to be a close one, huh? Got to let me know why. Think they're going to be all over us physically? Do you think they're going to be setting up a little deep? You think they're just going to surprise us and come out all? Maybe it's the opposite. You think that we won't even show up as a side. I mean, we're at home. Cup competition. Who doesn't love a cup tie at home? So I think it's going to be up to the players to be up for it. There's not much more I mean, what does Tenhag really need to do? It's kind of like when you're up 3-0 against Coventry. How much management really is there? I think in terms of playing these lower league sides, these championship sides, you just have to show that you're able to match their intensity. They do tend to be physical. They do tend to have a little bit more fight, more stamina, because they're like the championship, their season is longer. So they've got to go a little hard. They are a little hardier. They are a little bit more physical. They are going to get stuck in. They're not going to let up. So as long as we move the ball quickly, we match that intensity, and we stay switched on. I think we've had a hard time this season staying switched on because, like I said, Adam Phillips has a tendency to cause problems in the box. But you guys let me know. You guys are saying 3-0, 3-0, 1-0. I'm gonna hold strong to my 4-1. And we will see what happens. Of course, we will be back either after the match or maybe the morning after to talk and just kind of go over it and see what you guys' thoughts were. Again, real quick, if you haven't noticed yet, new shirt. This just came in from GoGoalShop. This is this year's third. Just got it in the post. Really excellent quality. Really pleased with it. Good stitching here. Good sleeve sponsors and whatnot here. There's none over that side. It's the camera throws me off sometimes. But if you guys do want to get $5 off your order, again, go check out the link and use that link. Use the code when you register, and you'll get $5. To save you so much money, and so you're not spending $120 on a shirt from the club or not. Rajat, probably not doing a watch along. Like I said, it was fun to do the watch along over the weekend while you stop by, but that's really a logistics thing. Usually I'm not home for the matches, especially on the weekends. I will usually go over a loaded dice. It just, the stars had happened to align. It was an early match, loaded dice open, so that wasn't happening. My wife was out of town, so it was quieter. I would never want to force my wife to leave the room so I can do a watch along either. It's her home, it's her living room too. I wouldn't want to inconvenience her. Then like Champions League, I'm usually not here. I'm usually at a pub in Plymouth watching Champions League there. So if the stars align again and everybody's up for it, then yeah, I'll probably do one just because why not? But they're probably not going to be a regular thing. But I did have fun, so we'll see. Will there be a watch along, Sean? Would be good to put the timer in. You mean like the clock? Yeah, that's a whole separate like production thing, which, like I've said a couple times, as the channel's growing and as I'm seeing it now, like right now I'm now like pricing out computers and stuff so I can download like OBS or something and get more kind of visually like production value into it. But because it's still a small channel and I wasn't expecting it to grow so quickly, it wasn't even on my radar for a little while. So now that it's there, I'm like, all right, we can look into it more, because I don't know if this computer will handle it. But we're looking into it, so we're going to see. It's just a matter of need versus, the cost and the energy and the time on my end to really research and start kind of learning how to do all that stuff. Plus, I'm not very technically adept when it comes to those kind of things, so it will be a bit of a learning curve, but it's in the works, man. A lot of that just stuff that I don't have the capability of doing at the moment, so we'll get there, but it can only get there with your guys' help. The more the channel grows, the more people are getting involved and engaging and getting us to then that road to 2K. We're just at like almost 1,500 subscribers now. We'll get there, but for now I'm really enjoying just chatting, engaging, hearing your guys' opinions and thoughts, and just getting the feedback on everything that has to do with United in these matches. So that's our preview for Barnsley. Again, a shorter preview, and again, not trying to be disrespectful, but we really shouldn't have to be too tactically or mentally or whatever you want to call it for a match against a League One side. It always feels disrespectful when I say that, but it's just the fact. Like if Premier League side with World Cup wingers, international, full international players, some of them Premier League winners and league winners in their past respective leagues, if they can't show up and do a job against the League One side in a domestic cup competition, then there are bigger problems. I worry a little bit because we have seen in the past some of these players can't, like Casemiro at Coventry, but there's no excuse in that point. And that to me is not a management thing. At what point does a manager have to tell his players, hey, go try? Like, that's just a given. It's like defending a cutback or not leaving 3 players unmarked at the back post. Like, why should a manager have to tell these players to do that stuff? So it is what it is. But you guys enjoy the rest of your day. and I will be back tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, to chat about the aftermath of the match. But enjoy it wherever you're watching it from, and enjoy your days tomorrow. And I will see you guys then. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Again, we are on the road to 2K. Thank you guys for stopping by. Patrick, Rajat, Danny, appreciate it as always. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.